All right, good evening. Call the meeting to order at 4:30. This is the Board of Trustees for the Fallbrook Union High School District. We're at the Bob Burton Performing Arts Center, Fallbrook Union High School, 2400 South Stagecoach Lane, Fallbrook, California, 92028. We'll be starting in a second in closed session. Topics could include public employee discipline, dismissal, and release, Government Section Code 54957, conference with legal counsel pending litigation, Government Section Code 54956.9 D1, conference with legal counsel anticipating litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Section Code 54956.9 D2, conference with legal negotiators, Government Section Code 54957.6, District Negotiator Elza Garza Gonzalez, Superintendent, employee organizations, FHSTA and SEIU, and unrepresented employees, classified management, certified management, and confidential employees. We'll now have an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any of the items described for this closed session agenda. We will have an opportunity later for open session items. Government Section Code 54954.3. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
No public comment. Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and go to closed session. All right, welcome everybody back from closed session. Again, this is the Fallbrook Union High School Board of Directors regular board meeting. We're at the Bob Burton Performing Arts Center, Fallbrook Union High School, 2400 South Stagecoach Lane, Fallbrook, California, 92028. I show 5:31 on my watch. And if you could stand and join me in our flag salute, please. All right, we'll start with roll call. Eddie Jones, President. I am here. Diane Summers, Vice President.
Here.
Oscar Carlampio, Clerk. Not present. Ilana Sterling, Trustee.
Present.
Present, thank you. And Lita Tavish, Trustee.
Present.
Thank you. Our students, Ms. Bowen.
Present.
Thank you. And Ms. Thomas.
Present.
Thank you. Superintendent Ilza Garza Gonzalez.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, announcement. All open sessions of the Board of Trustees are recorded and streamed in real time at fuhsd.net. I'll review the governing team's norms. The Board of Trustees approved norms are that we be respectful, be approachable, be open-minded, be communicative, no surprises, be willing to listen, be prepared, and be trustworthy. Report from closed session. Public employee discipline, dismissal, and release, Government Section Code 54957, nothing to report. Conference with legal counsel pending litigation, Government Section Code 54956.9, D1, nothing to report. Conference with legal counsel anticipating litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Section Code 54956.9, D2, nothing to report. And conference with legal negotiators, Government Section Code 54957.6, District Negotiator Ilza Garza Gonzalez, Superintendent, Employee Organizations FHSTA and SEIU, and unrepresented employees, classified management, certified management, and confidential employees. All those, nothing to report. And if I could have a motion to adopt the agenda we have here.
I move that the board adopts the agenda for the regular meeting of October 24th, 2022. I second.
Thank you, Summer and Sterling. Any other comments, additions, or anything? All right. Ms. Bone, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Carlampio is not present. Mr. Jones, I say aye. Ms. Sterling?
Aye.
Yes. And Ms. Summers?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Tavish? Aye. Thank you. All right, presentation. We're going to start with the trimester's report. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, Ms. Toon, our Director of Education Services, will be presenting the 23-24 school year trimester schedule report. Ms. Toon.
All right, good evening. Just wait for the presentation.
I don't think you're on, Emily.
Not on?
Uh-uh.
Says I'm on.
There you are.
I'm going to mess it up if I mess with it too much. I know that. I'll just lean forward. All right. Good evening, President Jones, Superintendent Garza Gonzalez, and members of the board. Back on May 24th of 2021, I came to you and presented regarding a variety of alternative schedules. And I'm here this evening to give you some information about an alternative schedule that was chosen to implement in the 23-24 school year. The process to identify a schedule for the 23-24 school year began at the beginning of the 21-22 school year. We started by identifying needs for Fallbrook High School, and then from those needs, identifying priorities. With that, we started researching a variety of schools across San Diego County, and we took groups of our lead teachers and our administration to visit a variety of those schools. And then we took that information, we came up with a few different school alternative schedules that would meet our needs, and then we had our staff vote, and the result of that vote was a majority for the trimester system. So I'm here to give you a little bit of information about the trimester system because it is different. So our current system, a semester system, we have 2 sessions. We have our fall and our spring session. And in a trimester system, we have 3. There's our fall, our winter, and our spring session. In a semester session, the way that we currently have our courses, we have 6 courses that students can take across a year. And then across 4 years, students can obtain 240 credits, and our current graduation requirements are 230. In a trimester system, students are taking 5 courses instead of 6 each trimester for a reduced load. The course periods are approximately 65 to 70 minutes, whereas in a semester system, we have 56 to 58 minutes. Similar to a semester system, they get to see their teachers every single day. In a block schedule, there would be a gapped day on a potential A or B day. The trimester system allows students to see their teachers every day. And in comparison to a semester where you have approximately 18 weeks, in a trimester system, you have 12 weeks. So here's some of that information in a direct comparison. Part of the reason that the trimester system was chosen and why it met some of our established priorities was the increased course access. We have a breadth of course opportunities for our students. We have a tremendous CTE program. We have various electives. But in a semester system, when students can only obtain 240 credits and graduation requirements are 230, it's very tight, and students don't always have the opportunity to try out all the different electives and pathways that we have to offer. So in a trimester system, our graduation requirements remain the same, but the students have the opportunity to take up to 300 credits. So instead of those 6 courses each year, students can take potentially 7.5 courses each year for 4 years. As I mentioned before, the length of time for the period is different so that we can meet our instructional minutes. The trimester system also offers what we call an off-roll, and an off-roll period happens either first or 5th period, and those allow students to take advantage of community college courses. If they are athletes, they can use an off-roll that aligns with their athletic season so that they're not missing classes 5th period when they have to go to games. And one of the priorities for our leadership team and our teachers is they did want to be able to see their students daily. So that is the same in the semester and the trimester. Where there are some differences is in a semester system where students would have 6 teachers, and it's usually the same 6 teachers across the year. In a trimester system, there is the possibility that students would have different teachers for their courses across the 3 different trimesters. It is a tremendous benefit for the student experience. That is something that our team was really focused on keeping at the forefront. We really wanted to make sure that the student experience at Fallbrook High School was priority number 1. And so when we talk about the priorities that the team established, school culture and course access was number 1. And as I had mentioned before, our CTE program, our various electives, band, dance, art, ceramics, ROTC, they're all tremendous programs, but our students sometimes have to choose one or the other. And so the trimester really allows them the opportunity to try some things out before they commit to a particular pathway or a program. And again, as I said, students can graduate with 300 credits instead of 240, and then that 230 is our graduation requirement. Some of this is repeated, so I'm only going to focus on the pieces that I maybe haven't emphasized or are definitely different between the 2 systems. And as I had mentioned before, students can have a gapped course. So it is possible for a student to take first semester of a course in trimester 1 and second semester of a course in trimester 3. And there is that potential possibility for students to see different teachers across the course of the year. Acceleration is one of the opportunities that the trimester offers to our students. So in addition to giving them an expanded opportunity to access all of our different courses, if they want to accelerate in math or world language, they can actually start to get ahead by taking, for example, Integrated Math 1 in trimester 1 and 2, and then beginning first semester of Integrated Math 2 in that third trimester, so that they have more and better access to our higher level math classes and world language classes as they get up into those higher grade levels. The other piece of the trimester that our team liked is that the seasons align fairly nicely, the athletic seasons, with our trimesters, which means that it's easier on our teachers in terms of going with students to games, and it's a little bit easier on our students, as I'd mentioned, those off-roll opportunities. It's not the entire year that they take an off-roll. They may take an off-roll just during their actual athletic season. I had mentioned over and over our priorities, and we know that we have some things that we want to work on at Fallbrook High School, and this alternative schedule is not going to be the solution in and of itself, but it is a system that is going to allow us to address some of the priorities and the needs that we have. That course access, the accelerated opportunities, and credit deficiency was also one of the things that was addressed by our team. And that trimester system allows us as a staff to support our students in the student experience. And last but not least, up in the top right corner, I know it's a little bit small, we had a variety of needs that we addressed, and our top 3 priorities that our teams identified for the system were a bell schedule that was going to allow for school culture, motivation, affiliation, and belonging, and by having students access more extracurriculars, more of our electives, more of our CTE pathways, we hope to build some of that. The course access and opportunity speaks for itself. Social, emotional, and academic success. So that adjusted schedule allows our teachers to go back and to look at their curriculum, to revise, to revamp, make sure everything's working really well, and focus on lesson design as well. So when we brought a variety of different schedules to our staff, our teachers, our classified staff, majority voted for the trimester system. And this is something that, I will be honest, we didn't come to them with the trimester, it was their idea. So as we did our research and looked at our priorities, this is where we landed, and this is why. What questions might you have?
There you go. Trying to turn it on, it wouldn't go on. Yeah, I have a question. Would our trimesters mimic IVs as far as the timing to end for each of the 3 trimesters?
We're currently looking at the instructional calendar for next year, but our goal would be to align as much as possible, yes.
Are you finding that this is a trend that other high schools are doing at this time?
So it's when we pulled a variety of research across schools in San Diego County, majority of schools who are doing an alternative schedule are doing a 4x4 or an 8-period block, which gives them even more course access, but it significantly reduces the amount of instructional minutes. And it has some of our teachers felt that ability to see students on a daily basis was really critical. So there are some schools, Poway Unified has quite a few schools who are on the trimester system. We went to Mount Carmel, Poway High School as well, Sage Creek. We went to visit, or we spoke with the principal for Sage Creek. There are some trimester schools across the state of California. There's not a tremendous number of trimester schools, but there are a tremendous number of schools that are utilizing schedules with more opportunities for students. So this allowed us to give students more opportunities for courses, but balance those instructional minutes to make sure that our teachers felt they really had enough time to work with students on the content.
So the tri-semester is 12 weeks, and what was the other, what was the currently 15, wasn't it?
In a semester, we're approximately 18 weeks each semester.
Oh, and now there'll be 12.
And then in a trimester, it would be 12 for each of the three.
Emily, doesn't this match what they're doing in colleges, or most of the colleges are tri-semester, right?
Not,
No?
the colleges are usually functioning in a quarter system or a semester system. I don't know of any community colleges off the top of my head who are in a trimester
The
system.
4-year?
4 years they can be both. They'll be either
Either
quarter or
one.
semester that I've seen.
So it's a mix and match of everything right now, okay.
Yes.
Well, I think it's great, so, yeah, we're gonna see a lot more room for integrating the students into, like, their pathways, and CTE will have more opportunity to do what they want to do, so it's a lot of good things in this. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Hearing what you have to say, there's a lot of things in here I like. The lengthening classes by about 12 minutes or so, going from 6 to 5 in the day makes sense. I like the opportunity, the graduation rate at 230 units, a lot more headroom on that, so that students have a lot more leeway. My question, though, is, do you anticipate any transition problems for the kids going from where we were to here? From the students' perspective, how are we preparing for that?
So I think all transitions for students and our staff are a challenge, and so we are working really hard on a rollout plan to make that as simple as possible. So we are starting first semester with some information sessions for teachers about the function of the trimester system, because not every teacher had the opportunity to visit one of our schools and do all of the research that the leadership team participated in. Our counselors are being trained, and then our counselors will be going into classrooms and providing information to students in the 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th grade levels on how the trimester works, starting the 4-year plans with them so that by the time we start course requests in January, they've had some time to process and think about it. Our parents, we have 4 information nights that we are planning to set up starting in November, once a week up until the December break. So after we send out information to our parents, then there will be opportunities for them to come ask questions, learn a little bit more about how it works, because it is a new system.
And then are you sending information home as well concerning it? Yeah, to the parents. Okay.
Yes, we'll start with a notification and a letter to parents with some information about why we've chosen this model and how it's going to benefit their students. And then within that letter, there will be information about the opportunities for them to come to campus, ask questions, and learn a little bit more.
I also like the way you've been inviting the the teachers involved in this whole process, so that they've been aware all along. So not an easy situation. So thank you for all your extra work.
Thank you.
I do want to add another advantage of the trimester system is as more graduation requirements are added by the state, the schedule allows us to add those without having to eliminate electives, which is what usually happens. We need to add a class, so what are we eliminating because we only had that 10 credit gap? But we know that we have to have ethnic studies by 2026. This will allow us to add ethnic studies without reducing the number of electives that students are able to take. It would also allow us to add some of the life skills courses that we've been discussing.
Correct.
Any questions or feedback from our students on this? All right.
Well, if I could ask Melanie, because you are actually in a trimester schedule right now, does it appear too fast, or have you been able to adapt to it since your school's a trimester 5-period day?
Yeah, I'm used to it. To be honest, the classes feel like shorter, and it feels more helpful in the class. It just feels easier for me, personally. I don't know about everybody else.
Thank you, Melanie.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Dr. Annabelle Luna, our Director of Student Services. She will be presenting on FAFSA, which is the federal, Blake, the financial aid federal state.
The
something.
free
Help me out
application
here.
for federal student aid.
FAFSA.
That works. So hello, thank you for allowing me to speak with you. I'm going to share a few details on what's going on right now with our campus and what our counselors are doing and the importance behind this. I'm not sure if our students, any of them are seniors. I don't remember right now. Oh, awesome. So you'll recognize some of this. So as you know, it is application season, and it's also a financial aid application season, which opened October 1st for our seniors. Just to go over quickly with you, there are two applications that the students would apply through. It's either the pre-application for federal student aid, and that's the FAFSA that opened October 1st and closes March 2nd. The CATA would be for our students who are currently considered undocumented, but also have that option to get a state financial aid. We have any student that applies to a 2-year, 4-year, even trade school would benefit from applying to either one of these programs because they would qualify for federal, state, or even school-sponsored grants. And that's one thing our students don't always realize, that even if it is a trade school, because it qualifies now, that information helps the private trade schools to figure out if they can provide grants for students and try and reduce the loan piece. So it is something that's beneficial. One piece New York Times brought out with our class of 2021, there was a $3.7 billion that were not actually claimed by students because not everyone applies for it. And sometimes it's the misconception that you have to pay for it or the money has to be paid back, but it isn't. It's actually free from federal and state. They are grants. Though you are provided the option of loans, most of the students, depending on the income qualifications of the parents, will get some sort of grant. As you see here on some of the data, so I was able to pull this. If you visit the California Student Aid Commission, it gives you data of applications. You will see that for us, class of 2021-22, we were below 50% of the actual submitted applications and completed. We have class of 528 and only 236 completed for 21. For 22, 238 students submitted an actual application. So we're talking about half of our students did not submit an application. With the data, if you compare it to Temecula Valley, it is actually lower than Temecula Valley. It doesn't mean theirs was that higher, but there was about 62%. We had Valverde, who's in the Paris area. Theirs was at 82, and I'll share kind of why theirs is a little bit higher. But we can push this, and we know that. We've addressed it in our guidance alignment meetings with Orenda. So we are working on some steps to move forward, get our students involved in submitting the application. The importance behind it, again, our students all qualify. Now, the amount that they'll receive is going to vary depending on their home, their income. It doesn't impact the parents either. It really is just to see what are the needs, what's the percent that the family would contribute, and how the federal or state funding can help cover for the student's education. We do have with seniors, if they do complete it, about 84% of them will receive some type of funding. Now, again, even if it is a 2-year or 1-year trade school, there is certain funding that's provided through the FAFSA. If you look on the data, 53% of our high school seniors in California submitted the application, so we are ranked 17th in the country. And a lot of it just kind of marketing is a big one, and really that kind of just frequently asked questions of what's the benefit and how it would help our students. Even if they are not sure that they're going to go to a college or a trade school, it benefits them to apply for it because it's there kind of on the side when they decide. And we've seen rates of students that they'll graduate and maybe come July they realize, I do want to go to school, I do want to study maybe a 1-year certificate program. So it helps if it's already kind of there, it's put on hold for them, and they can, once they sign up for a school, they can claim that funding as well. As I mentioned this, the state did actually sign a bill, AB 469, where it's now a requirement that all seniors complete the actual FAFSA or the CATA. It's not a graduation requirement for our district, but it is a requirement for all high schools to report that our students completed the application, and if not, we have to follow up why it's not being submitted. The idea is, again, to improve that access for all of our students. We have students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged in Fallbrook, we're at about 70%. So we need to make sure that we're targeting them as well and the options available to help them just improve in economics. For us in Fallbrook, so these are some of the things that are going on. Like I said, the guidance alignment with Orenda has helped out a lot to see our data, kind of our needs assessment, and just moving forward to push our students. College Kickoff Week is something that happened at the Fallbrook High School. Information went out through Parent Square that there was this bill that was signed by California, and that there were workshops being done during that kickoff week. At the same time, the Career Center has been available. Pam, Kane, and Salvador Cabrera being available for Ivy High School, as well as our Fallbrook High School students to help them out with the application process. Our counseling staff right now will be visiting, they started this week doing senior class visits to really guide the students to get their FSID, that kind of the first step, and guide them on what the application process would be. With that, they're adding those FAFSA Fridays, where during lunchtime, they'll be available for any supports. Our counselors are doing some raffles to kind of entice the students to get it in, submit it. The one piece that our students need to realize, and parents, the sooner they complete the application, the more funding they will receive. If they wait till March, it's kind of, once you submit it, you get a number. And that's a piece of trying to educate our parents and students that the sooner it gets in there, then you have a higher likelihood of getting fully funded. And again, there is that income piece. But if we wait till March, you're talking about now you're kind of at the end of the line, and let's see what's available. So really getting this up and going. Ivy, we have Jaime Miramontes, David Cruz, and Salvador Cabrera. He goes and visits the high school and helping them through the process as well. So I know a lot of it's, again, marketing, getting out there, making calls, and sending information to parents and students to see the importance behind this application. Other approaches, like I mentioned earlier, Valverde, some of us have gotten the chance to kind of hear from their school district, how they've gone about it. Before this bill got approved by the state, they actually back in 2017 added the FAFSA and CADA as a graduation requirement. So what they saw in 2017 till now, they've had above 90% completion rates in their high schools. And a lot of it became a system-wide piece with time getting it there where everyone's involved. It wasn't just our counselors lifting the load. They started with the College and Career Center, but then involved entire administration. So they come in the spring, you have everyone involved making calls to get those students that haven't submitted the application. And if they haven't, okay, there's a process to make sure that they complete the requirement for the state. But just kind of being aware of those pieces. Valverde actually got the idea from Louisiana and Tennessee because they had implemented that as a requirement in their schools, and that's what helped get a higher rate. And just, again, improving that access for students. So just as a final note, reasons to complete it, it's free application. We have support on campus. Students, you need to reach out. I know sometimes it gets scary to go to the College and Career Center, don't know what to do. So definitely, I think that's where a counselor want to go into the classroom and just kind of pull them in and know that they're there, they're friendly, they don't bite. So definitely get that support. It is very simplified. It takes about 25 minutes to 30 minutes. So at one point, for those of us that went to college, remember the paper version, filling that out and try to read through it. It's simplified now, where it even has kind of questions that guide you through to fill it out. But having us staff available to help the students and parents makes it a lot easier. And then again, you might need it. You might get some college grants. Students that decide to go to private colleges, this actually helps give them information for their own scholarships. So that's why we're trying to make sure inform all the parents and students of the options. The other big one is that alliance that we have with San Marcos. If our students have it's a 3.0 GPA, meet the requirements A through G, they need to submit the FAFSA or CADA application to actually qualify, and they're guaranteed admissions to the CSU San Marcos. So definitely want to make sure we promote that as well for our students, that if you qualify for San Marcos, let's get you there. We have Palomar as well, promised. They're going to require also the FAFSA. All of this is a requirement, but just again, educating our kids and our families of what's available for them. And again, any questions?
Very important point is getting a number early, and I never knew that before. So, when I think about some of our Hispanic families, they like to stay, is
Under the radar.
low, local, yeah, but they like not just having the kids be local, but they don't like to put a lot on paper. They just, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say anything for sure, but or is it really explained to the parents that doing this earlier is better? Is it really clear to them? Because this is huge, what you've said here. I just would like to make sure everybody.
Yes, so that's a piece that we're kind of working on, trying to send information out. I know the first one they sent out was early October, out to parents and students. We're going to send something out as well. And the neat part is that our Fallbrook counseling is going to have a meeting with all the other support staff that are involved in this process. I think from there, just kind of some ideas of how we can do potentially some parent workshops to send information, meet with them, give some answers. I know working with Mr. Jorge Rojas, our migrant ed, getting all of them on the same page, just like you said, to educate our parents, especially our Spanish-speaking parents.
And everybody should get it in as soon as possible. This is, I never realized that before, but they actually get to a point where they run out of money?
So it used to be where the application would open January 1st. It's been already, I believe, 2 years that they opened it October 1st. So they opened it earlier as of 2 years ago, if I'm correct.
Oh.
So it used to be January 1st to March. Now they've opened the window. It's a larger window, but it is with money, even though it's there. That's what we always tell the kids. Think of it as your ticket number. So
Okay.
the sooner it's there, the sooner you know kind of what your parents would be required for and what you might get for the school.
I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like a little bit of feedback, so I was having a hard time understanding. I don't know, it's the microphones or something, but, so the parents are really clear that they have to do it now and as soon as possible. And, oh, I know what it was. My thought got tracked around. The promise, the Palomar promise that now is for all the community colleges. Is that still on, and does it go for the 2 years? And let's say if they'd rather go to the 4-year, do they still get any help that's any different? Or do they have to be in the 2-year college to get that first, is the first year paid for?
So Palomar Promise has to do with the Promise program. That's for community colleges. That's different from your 4-year programs. They give financial aid no matter what college the student goes to. The award letter is going to vary depending on the cost of the school.
Huh?
The award letter that states what their financial support will be is going to vary depending on the school that they go to.
Yeah, kind of a sort of a similar question. On this chart here,
Yes.
We're looking at under 50% of our students, or seniors, I believe, have applied or submitted their. Are you able to break this down by any sort of demographic to see where there's a group of students that's less likely to do this?
So it was, I know, with our Latino population, it's a little bit lower. And it came up earlier regarding parents just not being aware of the importance behind it. Sometimes hesitant because of paperwork documentation. So I know talking to a few of our support staff, I said when the parents finally come in and they have that trust with someone on campus has helped them to submit it. So those are the pieces that we need to work on and are talking about for this year moving forward. I can get you a breakdown of the demographics. Yeah, I can get that for you as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
If I could ask a question, what's the difference between submitted and completed? Do students turn it in not completed? Or
Yeah, so usually there's like a signature piece, and it's missing, confirmation, which is an important one, and that's another piece. Sometimes they have to do a handwritten letter, so just getting our students to understand that we can help you out and we'll send it for you as well.
Another big difference between submitted and completed is the income tax return information. If it's not readily available, you can submit it, but it's not complete yet unless they're able to retrieve that information. The county and the state both do, it's on a couple of the slides, the race to submit. So we are provided data on how our schools are doing. If I recall correctly, Oasis last year placed 3rd in the county for alternative schools as far as submission. And now that it is a state requirement, the state has better tools to tell us who has completed the FAFSA and who hasn't, because right now we have to rely on students showing us the confirmation letter that states that they've completed it.
And yes, like it was mentioned, we just got that email recently stating that they were going to create that tool, which is great, because then we can better track of the students. Well, with no other questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on, public comment. The Fallbrook Union High School District Board of Educators encourages and invites the public to comment on agenda and non-agenda items. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per legislation AB 1292. The board will give twice the allotted time to members of the public who utilize translation technology or require assistance to address the board. Total public input on any one topic will be limited to 20 minutes and may be extended at the discretion of the board president. Comments on non-agenda items will be heard at this time. Comments on agenda items can be heard now or when that agenda item is discussed by the board. Speakers will be called in the order they were submitted. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have one. Chris Potter, the agenda item is alumni.
Hello, board. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight. I know a lot of you. I've been up here a few times in the past as a booster president for the band. Tonight, I am alumni. I graduated in '96, and my daughter graduated last year. I'm still involved with the community. I'm still involved with the band, from afar, supporting them, financially and whatnot. Have nothing to do with them other than, that at this point. So I'm not speaking on that behalf. I'm speaking as someone that's coming to the football games, talking to students, talking to staff, and wanted to share my observations. And with that as a backdrop, thank you. I want to thank the administration for the direction that the school's headed in. I appreciate the positivity that I see. Is it a work in progress? Absolutely. It will always be a work in progress, but it is going in a positive direction from my perspective. I've seen a lot out there, but I see that the band's prospering. I love to see that. They're kind of near and dear to my heart. Thank you for the continued support of them, helping them get new instruments. That's fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's great to see ASB getting extremely involved with the students again, bringing them together as groups, the camaraderie that has increased amongst those groups. I see encouragement and participation amongst the students. Again, I've talked to these students. I've talked to a lot of my friends that graduated here that have kids here still. They're seeing the same things. Are there things to work on? Sure. There will always be things to work on, but it's going in the right direction. And I want to thank you for putting the people in place in those departments, in those activities that are starting to make a huge impact. Those students that are actively involved with those are, I see them fighting for warrior pride. I see them fighting for each other in a positive way. And it warms my heart to see my alma mater going in the right direction. And overall, I just wanted to say that I am encouraged by the positive direction that the school's headed. I see just take last homecoming, for instance, was fantastic. The cheer and dance team working together. I've heard that the band, cheer, and dance teams are trying to put something together as a whole. I see the student section in the football games are immensely larger than they have been in the past. I've seen students out in the community, so it's headed in the right direction. Keep doing what you're doing, putting the people in place that can make that change and those differences. So thank you.
We all knew it was coming, and it still scared us. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
There are no other comments.
All right, thank you. Okay, we move.
Hello. My apologies. I'm not quite
Tara
as,
on constitutional literacy. Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I'm not quite as prepared as I'd like to be, so I might have to review this next time I'm here. But as you know, my favorite subject now is constitutional literacy. And I think it also just will address some concerns that parents have about CRT, critical race theory, be whether they're for it or against it. I think as a community, 99 to 100% of us would agree we don't want racism to ever repeat itself. It was an atrocity in our American history. We want children at the appropriate age to understand it, but we don't want it being repeated one way or another, you know, on one group, a new group or an old group. That being said, there's a lot of great African American revolutionary people that I don't think I didn't learn about growing up, and I have a feeling it's not in our history books. And so in honor of really, I know it's recently there was a bill passed that ethnic studies needs to be taught before children graduate, is it by 2026? So maybe we could get ahead of the curve, but I think one of the things we need to include is in history the people of honor who fought for our freedoms. And I'll just name some of them. Maybe next time I'll go through what they did, but you have Edward Ayers, there is Crispus Attucks, and Salem Poor, Patriot soldier. He actually had a stamp after him. Let me see here. And along those lines, there's a lot of great women, too, that I've been learning about. So again, next time I come in here, I'll try to be a little more prepared and actually share some of the information on it with you guys, because I think it's interesting. And I do this just, you know, to get you guys to see these are fun things that our kids can learn and we can come together on as a community, and that is ethnically diverse and gender diverse. And I think it's the kind of stuff that the whole community can get behind versus some of the newer ways that textbooks are going about teaching diversity that a fair bit of parents aren't okay with and may also feel that it's not age appropriate. So just keep those things in mind and reach out to your parents. Phyllis Wheatley, she was not only an African American, she was black, or she was a woman. Peter Salem, I know there was a guy, Prince, I'm trying to remember his name. But anyways, hope these things, Marcus de Lafayette, I hope these things will encourage you when you're doing your research.
Thank you. And thank you, whoever stopped the bell just in time. No more public comment? Moving on to communications and reports, starting with our principals. Is Mr. Gray here? No?
No, Mr. Gray is unable to join us tonight, and Melanie Thomas will share information on his behalf. Principal Jones.
All right. Happy Monday. Quite a few things to go over, and I'm sure our students will also talk about some of the things that are going on with kids. But since I was here last, I feel like we've lived an eternity. We have had our Kickoff to College and Career Month. Our students engaged in activities throughout the course of that day, starting kind of primarily with our juniors taking the PSAT and some of our sophomores. And then just some highlights from that day, we had two of our board members present who participated and helped on that day with us, which is awesome. We had college and career information shared with our English learners, our newcomer students. We had our college and career fair. We also had a panel of speakers. At least 2 of them are in the room with us tonight. One as a parent and community member as well, which is awesome. Some feedback from our students were that those 2 were among some of their favorite panelists, which is great to see. Had a lot of feedback from students about the event, not only what they liked, but also what they want to see next year. So already thinking about next year's event as well. We had representatives from all over the place here in our college and career fair. Some of the students' favorites were Palomar College, all of our military reps. We had representatives from Paul Mitchell, who were here doing hair and talking about what a career in cosmetology looks like, Grand Canyon University, the Sheriff's Department, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. Those are just some of the things we saw coming up over and over from students as favorites. And again, we're already planning for next year and looking at what we can do there, especially with the incoming of the FAFSA requirement and how we can embed that even more moving forward to present more support for students on that day. So we appreciate everybody who helped out. Obviously could not have made it happen without the volunteers from the community and different organizations out there, and then also Pam Kane and Salvador Cabrera from our College and Career Center. Pam has been working since the beginning of the year basically to get that started and to get that planned. So she did an amazing job. We also had that same week homecoming, which was awesome. I would echo what Chris Potter shared as well. Friday night, actually Friday during the day, we had a pep rally. Our ASB did a wonderful job putting that together. It was a great event. Our students enjoyed it. They were engaged. Our staff was engaged. And then same thing, that same energy continued on into the evening, even though we were a little bit rainy. We had a good turnout for the game. Great spirit amongst our students. The floats were beautiful and fun, a fun representation of each of the classes. And then we had our homecoming dance here on Saturday the 15th. I think a little over 650 students in attendance, classified and certificated staff helping out. We had more chaperones than we could count, which is an awesome problem to have at an event. So we were partnering them in different things, but really appreciated the help. Most of them stuck out the entire evening with us and with the students, doing whatever was needed in order to support that event. So that was amazing. And then this week is Red Ribbon Week. So I shared a little bit in my weekly newsletter with families and students and staff. But one of the privileges we have this week is on Thursday. The wife of slain DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena will be here to do a kind of a red ribbon cutting ceremony. He is actually the DEA agent whose death prompted the creation of National Red Ribbon Week quite a while ago. So it's kind of an awesome privilege that we have to welcome her here and have her celebrate Red Ribbon Week with us. Providing different opportunities throughout the week. Some representatives from the Sheriff's Department will be here tomorrow, handing out some Red Ribbon awareness information to students, just kind of sharing what resources they can provide. We have a presentation tomorrow that some of our classes will be participating in. So it's going to be a good week of providing information to students. The quote that I wanted to share with you that's attributed to Kiki Camarena is that he said, I'm only one person, but I want to make a difference. And I think that's kind of a crucial part of this week, is that whatever information we can provide, whatever awareness we can bring to students, it may just be one person giving them one piece of information, but our hope is that it's something they take with them, that they think of, they tuck away for those moments where there's perhaps a decision to be made. That's the goal of the week for us. So that's kind of where we are now. A lot of stuff in the month of October, but looking forward to the last few weeks of the semester, if you can believe it. So thank you.
Okay. Student board members? Okay. Who's going to go first? Ms. Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. This past month, Ivy successfully took the PSAT, and along with that, 40 of our seniors received the food handlers. Congratulations to them. Also, Ivy is wrapping up for our first trimester in 2 weeks. Our students are working hard on that. Congratulations to Timothy Marshburn, an Oasis student, for being a National Merit Scholar recognized student. That's all.
Thank you.
Good evening. Allow me to fill you in on the last 2 weeks at Fallbrook. In fall sports news, football lost to San Pasqual last Friday, 6-14. However, they did beat Escondido during the homecoming game, October 14th, 46-8. This game also featured the presentation of class floats, and our homecoming king and queen, Johnny Downey and Mia Garland, were crowned. The halftime show also featured some amazing performances from the dance team, color guard, and band. The Madrigals Choir also sang the national anthem at the beginning of the game. The next football game is at home this Friday against RBV. League games are being played in order to qualify for CAF. Football currently has 3 wins and 1 loss in league. Girls field hockey has won 5 games and has 1 loss. Boys water polo has 2 wins and 1 loss, and girls volleyball has 7 wins and 3 losses. We all look forward to seeing how they will finish off their season, and we will be seeing some of them in CIF. Winter sports tryouts are also fast approaching as this fall season comes to a close. The winter sports include boys and girls basketball, girls water polo, boys and girls wrestling, and boys and girls soccer. In addition, homecoming was a major success. We had the pep rally the day before that Principal Jones mentioned, and the students really enjoyed it. And at homecoming itself, we had a boba truck, caricature artists, glitter tattoo artists, and of course, lots of dancing. We've been receiving a lot of positive feedback from students. We sold over 260 tickets, and ASB made a significant profit, and we're all feeling pretty proud of it. This money will go into funding more fun events that will boost school spirit. Additionally, the band has had some impressive feats. They went to Valhalla High School on October 15th and dominated the competition. Color Guard placed first, highest auxiliary. Band placed third, overall music, and first in the division. That same day, the FFA officer team attended the SoCal Leadership Conference, and ROTC hosted a Color Guard competition here at Fallbrook last Saturday. 12 schools attended, and they placed second. And that is all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board members. Ilana?
Nothing to report at this time, thank you.
Diane?
I'm just so happy everybody had a good homecoming. It was beautiful, and I saw some of the pictures I couldn't attend, but honestly, really nice.
Thank you. Just a couple things real quick. I want to just kind of double down on something that Principal Jones was talking about. I was able to participate with my favorite tax person over here. Thank you. In the student career day, basically, and really thought it was well organized and very impactful for the students. Ms. Kane, as usual, did a really, really good job. They took the school, or most of the school, and they split it into 3 different sessions. One session was in the Career Center? Yeah, no, not the Career Center, thank you, the gym, where they could go to all the tables and talk to all the recruiters or the representatives from the schools. The second one was in here where I was with a panel of a cross-section of a variety of professionals, and we all got to talk to the students about our own paths, how we got here, and sort of what we found out. And I think that was really good because the students got to hear from successful professionals that the path we started on isn't exactly maybe what we ended up achieving. So some of them don't really have a super clear idea what their next step are, and it was just kind of encouraging that it's going to be okay. They're going to find their way. And then the third session was, I think, just sort of private study within their own classrooms where they could reflect and talk about that with their teachers. So overall, it was, like I said, very impactful, I thought, for the students, and they seemed to be very well received. The only other thing I've got to mention, and we're just getting some early data, but it looks like we're getting some test scores in that's being posted officially on the state sites. And it sounds like Fallbrook High has got some really, really good news that we're going to be able to explain. So I can't really go into a lot of detail because the data is a little overwhelming, but what we're seeing seems to be really positive, especially in the English art side. So really, really happy of the progress of the students and of course the efforts and the successful efforts of the staff to help us really kind of blow away a lot of the county in our test scores here. So thank you and congratulations on that.
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, thank you. Report from superintendent.
Yes. As President Jones mentioned, the state test scores from 21-22 were released yesterday, so we haven't had too much time to go through and disaggregate the scores and see what they mean. But preliminary reports show some significant gains, double-digit gains in English language arts for the second year in a row. In math, we did take a small dip, but our scores are still higher than in 18-19. And then at the next board meeting, I will have the data for our school across years and broken out by our different demographic groups and our subgroups. So in English language arts, students score in 4 levels: standard exceeded, standard met, standard nearly met, and standard not met. And we want our students to fall in those first 2, which are standard exceeded or standards met. So we had 25.98 students in grade 11 that exceeded the state standard in English language arts. This is also the exam that will help them stay out of remedial classes if they go to a junior college or a 4-year university. And we had 34.93% of students in grade 9 meet the English language arts standard. So if you look at the graph, we had more students percentage-wise than the state or the county that met standards, and we had a higher percentage of students that exceeded standards when compared to the state, and very close to when compared to San Diego County. The proficiency levels, like I said, we want to stay in levels 4 and 3. So when we combine them, you can see Fallbrook High School is represented by the gray bar. 60.91% of our 11th grade students were proficient in English language arts and scored either exceeded the standard or standard met. And that was higher than both the state and the county. And in that second graph, you want your numbers to go down because that represents the number of students, the percentage of students that nearly met or did not meet the standard. And again, that was significantly lower than the state and the county. In math, as I stated before, we did take a slight dip from last year, but not from 18-19. So 12.31% of our students exceeded the state standards in math of 11th graders, and 19.82% of our students met the standard. We have some work to do in math. Some of the work that we've put into place isn't going to kick in until about 2 years from now, but we're still making gains just with the shift in culture that we are working on. So one of the challenges that Fallbrook Union High School District had in the past is that students only had a 2-year math graduation requirement, which meant that by the time they got to their junior year, many students weren't enrolled in a math class anymore. So some of the concepts were a bit foreign to them. We changed that, the Board of Education changed that a few years ago, and now we have a 3-year graduation requirement, not because of test scores, but because a university requires 3 years of math for you to be eligible to enroll. That was the main reason behind changing that requirement. And since we changed it, we have started to see a change, a shift in our math scores. Obviously, it's not only due to that. The first class that will graduate with that 3-year math requirement, they're sophomores right now. But the message that we're sending students is the more core classes that you can take, English language arts, math, science, and social science, the better prepared you will be for whatever choice you decide to pursue after high school. And again, when we look at those proficiency levels, standard exceeded, standard met. In math, grade 11, we were lower than both the state and the county. So we have some work to do there, and we're well aware of that, and we've been putting things in place. We also use this data to create the courses that we're going to be addressing in that trimester schedule. Now, one of the things that tends to happen a lot is Fallbrook Union High School District tends to be compared to neighboring school districts. So when we look at neighboring school districts, and obviously I am not including the names, but these are surrounding San Diego County school districts, you can see that Fallbrook High School either outperformed or is comparable to high schools or to 11th grade students. Most of the high schools in our surrounding area are not high school districts, they're unified school districts. But we pulled only the grade 11 data so that it would be comparable. The blue represents students, the percentage of 11th grade students that had standard exceeded or standard met, and the orange represents the students, the percentage of students that scored nearly met or not met. So again, you can see those graphs, the comparisons with surrounding school districts, and the scores are very promising, especially when you consider demographics, because our demographics are considerably different. In 11th grade math, again, our scores are a little lower, but still higher than some of the surrounding districts. And one of the things that the board will be able to see, as well as our community, in my presentation for the next board meeting, is although our math scores are still low, we have moved more students up to the standard exceeded or standard met. So again, on November 7th, I will provide a multi-year comparison with demographic data as well as our LPAC data, which is the English language proficiency exam that our English language learners have to take in addition to the CASP. And I want to point out that the success that we are seeing, the academic achievement that we have seen these past 2 years, is really a testament to our commitment to systems work. And what I mean by that is that every system is perfectly designed to get the results it is getting. We say that at least once a week. And we were not happy with the results that we were getting, so we decided to change the system. And you're seeing those results now. We focus on best first teaching for all students, the commitment that no student leaves Fallbrook Union High School District without being exposed to the essential standards identified by our teachers as essential, a commitment to rigor, and the firm belief that demographics do not determine destiny or outcomes. And you're seeing that in these test results. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, good news. Thank you. And now, to the main part of the agenda. Superintendent and Human Resources. Item number 1 is an information item on revised, new, and deleted board policies.
Yes, this is an ongoing information Item, ongoing reviews and updates are necessary with board policies and administrative regulations. The review enables the district to ensure the policies, regulations, exhibits, and bylaws conform to state and federal law. The district compares its policies, regulations, exhibits, and bylaws with the California School Boards Association recommendations. Additionally, the review serves as a reminder to the governance team and staff of the operational principles and implementation guidelines for the district. The revisions allow the district to make the necessary updates to remain compliant. The revisions are in alignment with the California School Board Association suggested language and numbering system. Revisions appear as a strike-through for deletions and an underline for additions. There are no financial implications associated with this agenda item. Implementation of these proposed revisions support district efforts to help students attain the goals identified in the LCAP. The revised new and deleted board policies, administrative regulations, and exhibits presented are information items for first reading and will be placed on the next agenda for action.
Thank you. Okay, next is an action item. This is also new, revised, and deleted board policies. So if I could start with a motion on this, please.
I move that the board approve in the second reading the revised new and deleted board policies and administrative regulations as presented.
I second.
All right, Tavish and Sterling, thank you. Any questions on this from the board? Okay, we'll move to our students. Ms. Bone, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Carlampio is not present. Mr. Jones says aye. Ms. Sterling?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Summers?
Aye.
And Ms. Davish?
Aye.
Thank you. Next action, number 3 is an action item. This is single plans for student achievement. Ms. Toon, can you provide us a little bit of history on this? This is, yeah.
I believe we need a motion first.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Action item, so I'll need a motion.
I move that the board approve in the second reading the 2022-23 single plan for student achievement for Fallbrook High School as presented.
I second.
Summers and Sterling, thank you. Okay.
Good evening. So the Single Plan for Student Achievement, or the SIPSA, as we call it, are mandated reports for schools receiving our federal Title I funds. The single plan outlines how the school will spend those Title I funds to assist students who are struggling academically. Single plans are approved by respective school site councils prior to submitting them to you, the board, for approval. The attached 22-23 SIPSA includes allocations for Fallbrook High School in the amount of $319,394.05, with carryover of $144,692.88 for a total of $464,086.93. So these are all aligned with our LCAP goals, and we ask you to approve it.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bowen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Thomas?
Aye.
Also an aye. Mr. Carlampio is not present. Mr. Jones says aye. Ms. Sterling?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Summers?
Aye.
Aye. And Ms. Davish?
Aye.
Thank you. Consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the Board of Trustees to be routine and will be enacted in one action. There is usually no discussion of these items prior to the time of the Board of Trustees votes on the motion unless members of the board specifically request items to be discussed or deleted from the consent agenda. So an action item to approve the consent agenda.
I move that the board approve as presented the consent agenda.
I second.
Tavish and Sterling. Okay, any questions? Ms. Bowen?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Carlampio is not present. Mr. Jones says aye. Ms. Sterling?
Aye.
Aye, Ms. Summers?
Aye.
Aye, and Ms. Tavish?
Aye.
Thank you. Organizational matters. This is the appropriate place in the agenda for members of the board to request the superintendent provide further information regarding items discussed at this meeting and/or request that new items of business be placed on further agendas. Does anybody have any organizational matters?
There's just one comment. For some reason tonight, I don't know if the rest of the board noticed it, but I felt the speakers were hard to read or to hear them properly. And I don't know if there's a feedback going on up there, people, or something. There was, yeah, we all heard it. I mean, it sounded like an echo to us up here. So I was doing my best to try to hear the details, so please look into that.
Noted, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Date and time of the next meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees will be held on Monday, November 7th, 2022 at 5:30 here at the Bob Burton Performing Arts Center at Fallbrook High School. There be no further business to come before the board. The regular board meeting for October 24th, 2022 was adjourned at 6:42 by President Jones. Thank you.